Hi, as a minister of the gospel of Jesus, I ask you tonight to take off your mask. Do not put on any mask. Don't wear any masks in public. Masks are not necessary. Mask is not legal for a Christian to wear. You see, in 1 Peter 2 and verse 1, the Apostle Peter says, lay aside all hypocrisies. It comes from the Greek word hypocrisies. It speaks about one who pretends, one who put on a show, one who acts out what he is not, one who wears a mask to hide his real person, one who puts on an outward show for everyone to see, pretending that he is that. You see, the Apostle Peter is writing from a Grecian background, and the Grecian people will have a lot of dramas and play and acting out of different parts. And so they will put on masks to go on the stage to act out a character. And Paul is saying to lay aside all hypocrisies, lay aside the masks. He is saying that a hypocrite then is one who acts as though he loves God, but his lifestyle is different. He is one who cares for people, or say he cares for people, but is full of selfishness. He pretends that he is a friend of yours, but he really wants something from you. You see, if you can't love your brother who you see, how can you love God who you don't see? You need to take off your mask. If you have racial prejudice and you are against one race above the other, you need to take off your mask. If you have unforgiveness and bitterness and hate and envy and jealousy and malice in your heart, you need to take off your mask. You can live 6 days anyhow, but on Sunday, you take off your mask to go to church. Peter is saying, take off your mask, lay aside the hypocrisy. There are some that believe and say they are believers, but they do not go to church, they do not fellowship, they do not tithe, they show no love. Peter is saying, take off your mask. There are some who have the world's riches and they don't care for the poor. Peter is saying, take off your mask. There are some who sit in judgment and look at the speck in somebody's eyes, but they don't see the beam in their own eyes. Peter is saying, take off the mask. There are some people who are so good pretenders. They say the exact thing you want to hear, and they pretend that they are what they said. But Peter is saying, take off your mask. Peter said, take off everything that you are not. Always you see the bad things in people. Peter said, take off your mask. People want to see the real you. Who are you? Who are you this evening? Who are you this morning? Who are you today? Yes, I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to Judas, who betrayed Christ. I'm speaking about Delilah, who betrayed Samson. I'm talking about Absalom, who undermined his father. I'm speaking about Jezebel, who tried to destroy the servants of God. Yes, I'm talking to those kind of people. Take off your mask. Some time ago, I was talking to a guy and he had on his mask, and he was talking to me as if he knew me for a very long time. And under the mask, I did not know who it was. I had to tell him, take off your mask. And I want to encourage you tonight, please take off your mask and don't live a hypocritical life. Anyhow, in Trinidad, wearing of the mask is legal. So as you finish hearing this, go and put on your mask. Hi, Pastor Hajaree on the swing here. I would like to tell you 3 things from the swing. Number 1, the first thing from the swing is do not allow where you came from to hinder your progress, your purpose, and your destiny. There are 2 guys by the name of Harry Pierre and Akil Hussein. These 2 guys humiliated the Taliwas when they beat the Knight Riders, beat them in the semi-final CPL cricket yesterday. And Akil Hussein and Harry Pierre, they were able to spin bowl these guys out of the competition. These 2 guys are all-rounders and they are great cricketers. But where did they come from? They came not from South Africa, not from Sydney, Australia, not from London, England, and not from the Mumbai Indians. But you know, they came from Laventille, and they live in Laventille, and they are from Laventille. And when you think about Laventille, there's a stigma to it. But they didn't allow where they came from to stop them from making history. And so I would encourage you, no matter where you are and where you came from, do not allow where you came from to stop you from fulfilling your destiny. The second thing from the swing I would like to tell you is do not allow how you look and how people perceive you to stop you from achieving your goal. Kareem Cornwall is one of the biggest cricketers I ever saw in my life. He is from the Zooks, from St. Lucia. And he is so big, his head is very big, he is very tall, he is very large. If I could use the word fat, fat is in the Bible. And so he is a very fat guy, a very big guy. Now when you look at him, you will say, this guy doesn't deserve to be on the cricket field. How can he run? How can he dive? How can he bat? Because he is so big. It is the biggest cricketer I ever see. But the second thing I want to tell you from the swing is that don't allow how people look at you and perceive you from accomplishing your goal. You see, Kareem Cornwall was able to dive and take a catch low to the ground with all his size. And he was applauded, and they were able to put the Amazon Warriors out of the competition. And after that, he came and hit 6 after 6 and 4s after 4s and was able in 4.5 overs to win the match for the Zooks. So the second thing I want to tell you from the swing, do not allow how you look for people to judge you, and do not allow it to stop you from achieving your goals. And then the third thing from the swing is do not allow your past history to hinder you from achieving your goals. You see, the Amazon Warriors came to this spot 6 times before, and they were never able to achieve the goal of winning the CPL competition. And I would want to believe that every time they reach this point, they will think about what happened in the past year. And in the 6 years went by, and that played a mental part on their mind. And they were able to lose again. And it seems their past was always following them. But as a child of God, do not allow your past to hinder you. Keep achieving your goals. You know, there are some people who might want to remind you of your past. But you know, Jesus, the Bible tells us that as far as the east is from the west, so far God has removed our sin and our past. You know, you can find the North Pole and the South Pole, but the more east you go is the more east you have to go. And the more west you go is the more west you have to go. You cannot reach it. And Jesus said, as far as the east is from the west, so far he has removed our transgression. So do not allow people to remind you of your past to achieve your goal. So the first thing from the swing is do not allow where you came from to hinder what you want to achieve. Do not allow how people perceive you, secondly, to achieve your goals. And thirdly, do not allow your past to hinder your progress. So God bless you from the swing.